Well, we'll start.
Okay,
I take Arthur, and we'll come
Right.
back.
let me do roll call.
Yes.
All right, Colby,
Here.
Catherine,
Here.
Arthur is not here yet. Robin, I'm here. That is our exec board. So go ahead, Colby, call the time.
Yes, it's 6:36 p.m. and we'll start the meeting right now. And thank you for joining us. I'd like to say we have two. Actually, we're going to touch upon this later on, or I can do it now. We have two open board seats for the board, and we have put on a little application on the website, on the Gtlnc.org website. That Catherine was very good, and of course Lisa helped facilitate. So if you know someone, encourage them to go to that website, to our website, and you'll definitely see the big button there. Oh, I see Arthur jumped on. I'll bring him on right now. Good. And then in regards to bringing on new, the possibility of new candidates and filling those two board seats, we'd love to streamline the process. Our last general board meeting was 5 hours long, and we've had other long meetings. And in regards to that, when reviewing the minutes prior to a vote, it would be great if you guys could approach the secretary through email before the vote with any kind of misspellings or corrections. So that way we don't have to go through this, through that kind of rigmarole during the meetings, and it'll keep up the pace of the meetings. A big deal is to make these meetings more palatable to, of course, the public, which is the most important, and then the board members and committee members, because the more arduous this is, because it's volunteer, the less likely people are, number one, to stay on the board. For instance, one of our board members decided to leave this past month voluntarily, Paige, and she's doing a good job, but she takes too much time. It's too hard for some people, and I totally get it. And if we're losing board members, it'll be very hard to even attract new board members. And I don't want to see us get whittled down and eventually not have a neighborhood council, which we're not required to have. So I want to make this as palatable and as streamlined as possible. Regarding that, let's try to keep public comments down to 1 or 2 minutes. It's the public comments are the lifeblood, of course, of this process. But sometimes I find that it could be that the same thing said over and over again. We take notes, and we definitely respect your thoughts. And it has to go 3 minutes. I totally understand. But it helps everybody if it can be more concise and precise. Anyway, so that's just a quick little thought there. So in that regard, let's open up to public comment. Please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so we'll move on to board member news and announcements. Do any board members have any news or announcements? Don't see any. So we'll move forward to the minutes and agendas. So we'll let's go to motion A.
Motion
To
A.
approve
Are you going to do it? Okay.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, let's, yeah.
Okay,
have
motion
the
A.
first.
The Gtlnc April 12th, 2022 exec minutes. Do I have a first?
Catherine first.
Thank you, and I'll be the second.
Any
Robin,
comments or discussion on this? From the stakeholders too?
seeing none, hearing
Robin, you
none.
want to go down the list?
Okay, Colby,
I approve, yes.
Catherine,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes. Motion carries 400.
Very good. Moving right on to motion B. Approve the Gtlnc May 17th, 2021 General Board Agenda. We have a first on this one.
Catherine
Robin.
first.
Catherine, I'll be the second.
All right, Robin, discussion from the board or the stakeholders? Please raise your
I
hand.
actually have a couple things, and Robin, I am sorry that I didn't have a chance to review this until just before the meeting, but the first one is a really simple one. There's just a typo in outreach. It says reprint, but it should be re and print, printing as in like two separate words, re as in regarding. Apologies for any noise in the background. My cat's having at it with a toy.
So it's supposed to say RE colon
Space. Yeah.
printing.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then for the GAC motions, those should all read, I think right now, and I've lost it. Right now it says discussion, possible action. Within the actual motion itself, like the language for the motion, it should be approve the standing rule annual meeting agenda for adoption by the GTLNC. Approve the standing rule committee membership for adoption by the GTLNC.
Okay, so.
Not the way it is right
this
now.
the language that was sent to me. So if you would like to send me the language, I will make sure that the general board agenda has that language. Just send me.
Yeah, and I did notice that for some reason Tess changed that from what I sent her, but yeah, I'll forward that to you right now. And then the other thing is there's a lot of stuff under GAC that is duplicative of what's under Plum. I think we should only put it on the agenda once, and my advice would be just have it under Plum. So that's the RENA stuff. That is the 3 bills that Ren submitted for the Plum committee that they're tracking.
Kathy, again, if you put this in an email, I will change it on the agenda. And just an FYI, because you were copied on it, when I did get this information from Tess, which I reiterated multiple times via email to clarify, is this for GAC or is this for Plum? And if you look at the email chain.
Oh, no, I know. I think we shouldn't put it in 2 places. Like there are other things on there, but.
Yeah, I agree. So again, will you just put it to save time? Because I'm writing all this down. I don't want to get it wrong. Put these in an email, send it to me. I will make sure it gets in the new general draft. I'll make sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
I don't see any hands raised.
We'll, motion B to approve the GTLNC May 17th, wait a minute, it says 2021 for some reason.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The right agenda. Let me just make sure my computer is glitching for some reason and it's doing funny things. Okay. Motion B to approve the GTLNC May 17th, 2022 general board agenda, and I will put as amended. We have a first, we have a second. Any, no other discussion? Let's vote. Catherine?
Yes.
Arthur?
Yes.
Thank you. Robin, I'm a yes. Colby?
Yes.
Motion carries 400. Thank you.
Good. Next up, we have
Treasurer
Arthur and the treasurer report.
Arthur, would you like me to read the motion?
Sure.
Okay. Motion C to approve the April 2022 MERV and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Do I have a first?
Somebody has something on the radio in the background or something. Hear that? Let's see.
And Arthur, I don't know why, but Arthur's an attendee and not a panelist.
I know. He won't. I've been trying to promote the panelists. It won't switch over.
Okay.
Promote
Okay.
them.
Let me see if I can do this.
I tried to.
Okay.
Thank
so,
you. You know,
Catherine, would you be the first?
Catherine first, yeah.
All right, and I'll be the second. Great. Okay, Arthur, take it away.
hold on. I'm still trying to promote him to panelist. He's not
Okay.
going over. Arthur, is there something on your side you have to push to be promoted to panelist? It's not doing it.
Don't see anything.
So frustrating. I don't know why. Rob, I'm gonna make you co-host. You try it, okay? Or Catherine,
All right.
because it's not working on my end. Catherine, you have more experience with Zoom. Let me make you co-host. You try it.
Okay.
Arthur
Alright.
gets one come over.
We just fixed that insurance thing, Barry. I'm thinking a while to see what I did. Can we do it while I was doing the balance sheet for this? Is that gonna make a difference?
All right. I think it was
Okay, you got it.
successful.
There we go.
You did it. You did it. Let's make it.
Ta-da.
Perfect.
All right, Arthur, you're co-host, so you should be able to screen share
Okay.
for your
So let me
panelists.
do that.
Actually, not co-host yet. Let's screen share you.
Okay.
You don't have to be a co-host to screen share. You can just change the settings for screen share. Arthur, you should be able to screen share now.
Oh, perfect. So I'll go ahead and do that. So we have finished March with $21,700. We had $125 in expenses. $96 was Google. $28.99 was MailChimp, and we finished April with $21,563. And as you can see, I have a lot of work to do, and I'm going to try to grind through as much of this stuff as possible through the balance of this week before our general meeting, just to get everything in and processed. So that's where we are right now, but there is some heavy lifting on my side, and I think that's it for me.
Okay, great. So we have, I believe the deadline, I'm told, is June 1st for all the NPG
Yes.
stuff and everything.
Yes.
And after that, how much do you believe we have? We have one more meeting, general board meeting in this fiscal year, actually, or no, two more actually. And how much do we have approximately about left to issue to more NPGs? I know, because I know we have Rio Vista might come back with their $4,800, $47 NPG, and maybe some other little things.
You know, that
You
is,
you can let me know, if you don't have the information right now, that's fine.
yeah, I don't have a good number for you right now. I can email that to you.
Okay.
And Arthur, will we get these MPGs submitted before our June meeting so that we can at least make sure that they're in the pipeline?
I'm going to try to get them submitted this week before our May meeting.
You're the best. You're the best, Arthur. That would be really great, because we did a lot of work at that last meeting, and I would
Yes.
hate to see it, not
I-
get submitted. So
Okay,
I-
great. I'm glad to hear that.
we know you've got a lot going on, so, if there's anything we can do to help, or, anything at all, just let us know.
I appreciate that, and we did do a lot of work, and I don't want to let any of you down.
Great. Okay, perfect. All right, we look forward to getting that done, and thank you for following through with that. You're the right guy for the job. You really are. It's not easy doing what you do.
Oh, I see.
I hear some background noise. Okay. Should we move on to any more news to share?
We have to vote.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, my dog was
Oh,
barking.
wait, let's go to public
vote.
let's get a public comment. Get a public comment.
I don't see any,
You don't see? Okay, I don't see anything
so we are
on my
going,
side. For some reason, my screen doesn't show.
we're going to take a
All I see is
vote.
Arthur.
Motion C to approve the April 2022 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Catherine,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes, Colby,
Yes.
and motion carries 400. Great job. And Arthur, thank you again. I know how much work this is, so please, we all appreciate how hard you work.
Thank you.
So we talked about the NPGs, but did we talk about TYS? I know there were some outstanding TYS bills. Did those get submitted?
That's also on my plate.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Arthur. Moving on to ongoing business. I kind of covered, well, it's really just the board members, open positions we have.
Those are all in new business.
I know it's all new business coming up, so I'm gonna skip ahead. New business. Again, we have 2 open board seats. Please encourage anyone you feel would be good to serve on the board. or stakeholders. I'm looking at stakeholders now. I know we have a lot of stakeholders who are very popular at these meetings. I mean, someone could easily throw the name in the hat and you could be sitting here next month. So we love to see the participation. We need it. We really need it. And then, let's see. Oh, yes. Discussion of letter of no confidence regarding DA Gascon from the Gtlnc. We had a stakeholder, and he's welcome to speak up anytime he wants to. He brought this to my attention, and we're all, number one, I believe the number one issue we were hearing is about crime, and the criminals seem to understand that limits seem to be being placed upon the police and judges. And we've all watched TV, we've all experienced it ourselves in the past 2 or 3 years, and how bad things are getting. And there's been a lot of opposition regarding our district attorney. And one of our stakeholders sent me an email and discussed this idea that we could take a stance. And I put it on the agenda because it's our job to listen to our stakeholders. And I've specifically heard this from one of them, and I've heard it, indirectly from many other people in Temecula Lake and just in our city. And when I go to other cities in California, last weekend I was in Newport Beach. Don't have the feeling of the crime we have here. It's a different place. Last weekend, 2 days ago, I was in Monterey, and I was up in Carmel. Of course, different world up there, but it doesn't have, it's not a big city, but of course they don't have the issues we have. A lot of law and order in both those places that we don't seem to have. I won't go into details, but that's why I put that on the agenda. I think it's something worth discussing. It's a big issue. We can't really tackle the whole issue, of course, in our little village here, but I'm sure it'll get some attention from other board members and stakeholders when we discuss this. Anyone else want to talk about this right now? They're welcome to. We'll move forward with that. And then we have I received.
So
Yes,
are we actually planning to vote on a letter of no confidence at
No,
the general meeting?
No.
we were just gonna have a discussion because it was brought up, and I see Jonathan's hand is raised.
Okay.
So Jonathan would like to express his thoughts.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, thank you. Before I speak, I want to have my 3 minutes, but I need a better update as to where, like what Catherine just said. I can't see so well, but I'm looking at the agenda. What agenda did you put it on? Are you talking about this meeting, or are you talking about the general meeting? Just what Catherine, I don't understand where we're at.
I believe it's on the general board meeting for next week. Let's see,
It's on the general board meeting, but it says discussion. It's not a motion to vote on a letter. It will be a discussion about whether or not the board wants to pursue writing a letter.
Okay.
right.
All right, now I understand. Now I'll begin speaking because I couldn't understand, and my vision is not so good for looking at the phone screen. Here's what I would like to say is this past week, I sent Colby an example of a already approved letter of no confidence that was used by our Arleta Neighborhood Council. In other words, the letter was all written out. I adapted it. I didn't change anything other than what had to be changed, which is the name of the neighborhood council, and one other issue, which was the increase in the number of other cities that have already done the same thing. Other neighborhood council, there's nothing novel about this. It came up in the Plum Committee, I think that was last night, that these discussions are aimless unless there's a meaning to it or a actionable step at the end of a discussion. So in this case, as a stakeholder, I see that there's, in my opinion, nothing more profound, nothing more meaningful you can do than to send out a signal, which is exactly what so many other communities have done, that this is a problem, that crime itself is a problem. It's not just taking a stand, but it's sending communication to other neighborhood councils. Now, I'm not saying every board member should agree politically one way or the other. I don't think this is a political discussion. We're talking about policies that I don't believe they work. So whether a board member personally agrees or not is irrelevant. My meaning of this neighborhood council is in its mandate to represent the interests of the stakeholders. I think that this issue is number one, not the issue of Gascon, but the issue of this unyielding crime level that keeps increasing. And it's affected everything in the community. You have to have a vision. The neighborhood council has to have a vision. If you don't know where you're going, then it really doesn't matter what road you take. So to this end, I think you got to have yourself a vision as to what it is you want for the community. My vision is that it's a community that gets itself under control, having to do with the street scene and law enforcement. And to that end, I highly recommend that you put it on the agenda and have an actionable step at the conclusion of the conversation. That's, I think, will help make people want to be on the board if they see time isn't wasted. It's not a waste to conclude a conversation with a vote. And don't misunderstand, I don't think that these letters, these CISs, whatever you want to call it, change anything. What they do is they send out a signal and they develop our community reputation. That matters. How people feel about Toluca Lake, what it stands for, its values. There are other communities that are on the other extremes. And we need to be vocal. We need to be vocal. I'm not saying we need to be more vocal. I'm saying we need to be vocal. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonathan. So when you first sent me the email, I contacted Erica, and we can talk back and forth real quick if you want to briefly right now regarding your idea. And I don't understand why, but I'm waiting to hear back. But she said, she indicated that which I don't understand why, but she indicated that she'd have to check on this. That was her words. And so that's why I didn't put it on for a vote. Now it doesn't make sense, like in democracy and all that stuff, but that's why I didn't put it for a vote. But it's let me hear from Rodolfo.
So I believe, I don't know if this was the only thing you were asking about, but I had asked if we were permitted to essentially write a letter of no confidence about an individual, because there is the potentiality that could be a political statement, especially during an election year. But if we are allowed to write a letter of opposition to policies, that would get around it being political, because it's not about a person, it's about the policies. So I don't know. I mean, I have a personal opinion on this, but if we are not permitted to have a letter of no confidence about an individual, perhaps we could have a letter of opposition to policies.
And that's probably what
specific
what I'm
policies.
checking on. And but I'm okay putting on a letter, wording like that, a 3 or 4 sentence letter. I'm okay doing that on the agenda. That's fine. I was just
we need to have specificity though,
and,
because right now that letter is incredibly broad. I mean, it simply says, disregard for the rule of law. What does that mean? That could mean any number of things. So I think if
like,
we're going to have a letter, we need to have a good letter.
And we could vote on, can we vote on a letter and then I could write a letter? Like the letter doesn't have to be set in stone during the vote, or does it, Catherine?
Yeah. So if we're voting on a letter, yes. If we are voting to oppose something, we can then, as we did with those TOC project and the other one, the car wash, what was voted on. And then the letter is just simply, at this meeting, the neighborhood council voted to support or to oppose XYZ. But if you're going to actually like, if you want to do it right, you need to have something that lays out what the policies are and what the effects of those policies are, with actual data and actual detail of the policies and their effects, and then say that's why we oppose. If we simply say we oppose the Gascon policies without explaining what those are, it's a nothing letter. It's
Colby, I think
meaningless.
you need to go to Rodolfo.
Yes. Hi, Rodolfo.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, my name's Rodolfo. I just have a couple questions about this subject. I guess my first question right now is, what in this instant meeting are we trying to achieve? Or are we actually, is there going to be a vote, or are we just kind of feeling out whether this is even going to be on the agenda for the general meeting? Or is this something that's already going to be going forward on the agenda for the general meeting?
So on the general board meeting, Erica well, first of all, Erica had a kind of a similar conversation that Catherine did, but she was going to check with the city attorney and see what we can say, and I think Catherine might touch upon something in the election cycle. And I'm not an attorney, I don't know. And when I mentioned, I had a conversation with Erica from Dunn about this, and she said she should talk to the city attorney before we execute a vote or write a letter like this. So that's why I didn't put an actual vote on the general board agenda, but I brought it for discussion, and Erica will be part of that conversation because she attends our general board meetings.
Okay,
Yeah.
with that in mind, I think it would be wise to get some legal counsel as to what the consequences of making such a statement would be, regardless of whether it's against a person or policies. Because I think, despite what anyone might represent, when you send a letter stating that you have no confidence in a person or policies, that is essentially a political act. So that to me would require not just, as Catherine stated, a very carefully and very well worded and well researched letter, but that should also have the consensus of the community behind it. It should not be something that's simply motivated by a few individuals. And I don't know if that has been discussed yet. It doesn't sound like, from what I'm hearing in this meeting, that is the case. And I just hope that.
Well, we're opening it for discussion. That's why it's on the agenda to discuss.
Well, and may I just say, this was brought up by one member of the community with some advice as to how he feels this should go. The board, of course, will listen to the public, whether it be one voice or 20 voices or 100 voices. We do like to acknowledge and address. Colby did not put an action on this agenda or the general board agenda for reasons that we cannot make quick decisions. We have to let the public know that there is something in discussion, and we should never move quickly, even on something like this, because we don't have the voice of the public. We don't know how the public feels. So for the board to make a blanket statement of how they feel, I think that would be doing everybody a disservice. So it's a discussion. That's what this is. There's no action being taken at the moment. And, this may take a meeting, 2, 3, several meetings. We don't really know how long it will take, but we're not rushing this. This is a big topic to discuss, and we will see how the temperature in the room is before we even move forward. So
yeah, I mean, it's our role to listen to the public and listen to Jonathan, and that's why it's up here. Jonathan, real quick, and we have to move on. Usually we don't go back, but since it's not a very heavy meeting, we'll take you back.
Sorry. What did you ask?
do
You had
have
your hand up. But
My hand's
usually we
not
don't.
up.
We don't.
Oh, it
It
looked
was. It lowered it.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay,
So
so
that's the situation with the Gascon letter.
we should, before we are done here, you skipped it, I think, the installation of the new executive board, the date.
Yes,
Now Catherine is here. I don't know, you had made a comment that according to Dunn, this board has to sit for 12 months, which means we cannot elect a new executive board until July 8th of next, this coming July.
Until the month of July. Yeah, by the way, Arthur seems to have dropped off the call. That was about 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Okay, thank you.
So around 7:03.
Thank
yes,
you.
according to the bylaws, I talked to Eric about this also. We have to serve at least that term, no less. So it puts us into July for the election of the new
Yes,
executive.
and Catherine, I know that with last year,
Mhm.
there was a special board meeting to seat the executive board because it was a brand new board and there was no pre-existing executive board. But with that not the case because we are a continuing board, would it make sense to seat the new executive board at the official third week of, July and not hold a meeting?
So 2 things. 1, I personally think that's fine. 2, we have a draft standing rule for the annual meeting procedure that we're going to be voting on at this month's general meeting. And it opens with, the annual meeting shall be held in the month of July at the regular monthly meeting or at a special meeting called in accordance with blah, 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 blah. So the way that we've written it gives the option to hold the annual meeting at the regular meeting for the month, if that's what's easiest. I do think we want to balance the reality of how much time it takes for the annual meeting portion of the evening with the other things that we may want to get done at that meeting. So just understanding that the special meeting we had last year was like 3 hours long.
Correct. But we are a seated board. We seem to have things running much more smoothly. There was a lot of confusion last year, and that was part of the cause of the length of meeting. Plus, there was really no point of order. So I'm hoping, I think we're all hoping that this executive board selection will be a lot smoother.
Yeah, and we have a tie-breaking procedure now, so we don't have to worry about being confused on that. This annual meeting procedure does have some time limits set out. So that helps. I think as long as and I'm hoping that our bylaws will be in place by the time we actually have the meeting in July, but I'm hoping that we can adjust speaking time to not be 3 minutes per person on every single topic, just in an effort to make sure that people are all able to speak. And, as much as we want the public to speak, obviously, we also need to respect the public's time. And if everybody gets 3 minutes, then at a certain point, some people aren't able to participate because the meeting goes so long. And then we lose the public participating.
Yes, and
we just have to balance that.
Minutes down to 2 minutes, even 1 minute. Still, if you've got 50 people trying to talk, that's over an hour.
I know.
So the other thing too is we want to make it very clear that to talk once on a topic is going to be the max, unless there's a heavy discussion about something. I think once the board or the public speaks on a topic, that is the one, they get one chance at it. Because this back and forth is what takes so long.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so that's,
So we are going to go
Anything else?
forward with the July seating.
oh, yeah,
Sounds like it.
Okay. Okay. Great.
yeah, we can't do June, so, yeah.
No, okay, so I'm gonna put that.
Any other new business?
I
Okay.
don't believe so.
Any other comments from stakeholders? If not, we're gonna adjourn the meeting.
Great, at,
I don't see any hands
7:11.
raised, so it's a 7:11 PM. We'll close the meeting. And we'll see everybody next week at the general board meeting.
great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good
Good
night.
evening.